And welcome to another edition of Ducks Know Sports. This week, we're previewing round 2 of the NHL playoffs. Of course, round 1, very, very exciting, with a big comeback by the Boston Bruins in Game 7. What a game. Probably the best game of the first round was last night's thriller in Boston. Boston Bruins come back from down 4-1 in the third period to come back and win that game in overtime 5-4. Another great series. Detroit-Anaheim series was great. The Ottawa-Montreal series was interesting on and off the ice. But let's look forward to round 2 now, because I think all these matchups are going to be good matchups, and I think we're in for a hell of a 2 weeks of hockey in round 2 of the NHL playoffs. Our first matchup sets the first seed Pittsburgh Penguins versus number 7th seed scrappy Ottawa Senators. So it's Pittsburgh, first round. And they got the job done. So you got to give them credit. They got the job done, but it didn't look pretty. They did not look like a first seed. The Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby played well. Came back from the injury, played well, but the rest of the team didn't really play well. Let's be honest, have to switch goalies from Fleury to Vokoun, which I thought was kind of dicey, but ended up working out for the Pittsburgh Penguins at the end of the day, because Vokoun, as we went in there, game 5 and 6, just shut the door, clear what they needed in that room. And it looks like they're going to go Vokoun for the rest of the playoffs. And for this team, they're playing a very scrappy New York Islanders team who had no experience, didn't really know what they were doing, and almost lost New York Islanders. So the Pittsburgh Penguins did not look like a first seed. Sidney Crosby played well, but guys like Iginla, Matt Cook, Malkin, we're going to have to step their game up. Douglas Murray will have to step their game up and play even better if the Pittsburgh Penguins expect to beat a very good Ottawa Senators team, who I'm starting to believe in the Ottawa Senators a little bit. Because if Craig Anderson plays the way he plays, and if the rookies step the way they stepped up against the Montreal Canadiens, this series might be over quick and in Ottawa's favor. This team, just showed how much character they really have on this team, and I'm really starting to believe in these Ottawa Senators. I really like the Ottawa Senators. I really like Craig Anderson, the way he's playing. And I think if Craig Anderson can continue to play the way he plays, the X Factor in the series is Craig Anderson, in my opinion, because Craig Anderson plays the way he can play. And these rookies continue to come up and just contribute the way they keep contributing. I really believe in the Ottawa Senators. And call me crazy, but I just think the Pittsburgh Penguins haven't really showed me anything, and the Ottawa Senators showed me how mentally tough they can be. I like the Ottawa Senators to go into Pittsburgh and win this series. I think it'll be a long series. I think they'll go 6. But I like the Ottawa Senators, the scrappy Ottawa Senators, to get this job done. And yeah, Ottawa Senators moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. And our next matchup sets the number 4 seed Boston Bruins against the number 6 seed New York Rangers. Start with the Bruins. The Bruins were up 3-1 that series against Toronto Maple Leafs last round. And yes, they came with a win, but they seemed to they seemed to sit back a little and just expect the Leafs to roll over. They didn't. Almost blew the series, but I think in Game 7, third period, they really showed what kind of team they really can be. Lucic just put his team on his back, and you got Game 7 against Toronto, and just big ups to the Boston Bruins for getting the job done. And I think the Boston Bruins, if maybe they, with that momentum, can start playing the way, because let's be honest, in that first round, the start of the series, they looked like the Boston Bruins. They were hitting everything in sight, getting scrappy goals. Their goaltending was good with Rask, but they kind of got away from that a little bit. Started to play more offensive and not depend on their hitting as much. I think if the Boston Bruins expect to go back to the Stanley Cup, they will need to have. They have to be hitting on every cylinder. They have to be, play their game, which is play a very physical game. Hit up in the corners. Create turnovers, get in front of the net, and just get scrappy playoff type goals. And Rask, maybe it was kind of up and down series for Rask, but I really believe in this guy. I like Tuukka Rask a lot, and I think he will get the job done at the end of the day. And they're playing a team, and the New York Rangers, who are a very maybe on the radar kind of team. A team who at the start of the year, especially me, I expect them to go Stanley Cup Finals. I really believed in the New York Rangers. I really thought getting Rick Nash would be that extra boost they needed and would just roll the whole year. Didn't happen that way. But I really like New York Rangers. I really think they are that LA Kings type team from last year. That team, that lower seeded team that can come up and shock the world. I really like the Rangers. And I think the way if King Hendrick can play that way playing Game 7 in every game of the series, then the Boston Bruins don't have a chance to win this series. And I think guys like Richard step their game up. Rick Nash hasn't had a great playoff life. He sets his game up. Callahan keeps playing the way he's playing. I really believe the Rangers have a chance. And all said and done, the Boston Bruins have won a Stanley Cup in the past, but I just think this is the Rangers' time, and I like the New York Rangers to upset the Boston Bruins here. And like I said, I like the New York Rangers to win this game. I think this will be a long series because the New York Rangers do not go short series. So I like the New York Rangers to win this series in 7 games. But it should be a great series. Regardless, I think this might be probably the best series of the second round of the NHL playoffs. Okay, moving over to the West. The number 1 seed, the Chicago Blackhawks, taking on number 7 seed, Detroit Red Wings. Should be a good series. Original 6 matchup. A division matchup should be a great matchup. Or Chicago, it wasn't flash what Chicago did, but Chicago got the job done in the first round against the Minnesota Wild. Didn't really show any. The only crack they maybe showed, maybe their goaltender, maybe Crawford, was the only crack they really showed. With that being said, though, the Chicago Blackhawks look head and tails like probably the best team in hockey right now. I mean, with Taves, Kane, Hossa, Grinders getting it done. But like I said, the only probably weakness they showed was Crawford. Just because is Crawford really that guy? Can he take a team who is built to win a Stanley Cup, but their only weakness is your goaltender? Kind of reminds me a lot of 2010 when they won the Stanley Cup, where their only weakness was Nemi in net, but they end up getting the job done regardless. But they're playing a team in the Detroit Red Wings who last series had a pretty good series, shutting down one of the best players in the NHL in Corey Perry, taking a former 50-goal scorer and having him score no goals in that series. Really did a good job on the penalty kill. Really good job on the offensive. Mike Babcock just showed last series why he is one of the better coaches in the league. He showed why maybe he's one of the best coaches in the league, maybe the best coach in the league. Just game planning, just line changes, just everything, just outmatch the Ducks in every way. And let's be honest, I didn't give Detroit much of a shot last series against the Ducks, and they proved me wrong. They keep proving everybody wrong this year. Just a scrappy team. It used to be about the Detroit Red Wings. They would used to win series just based on talent, but now they have to win series by outworking the other team. That's what they've been doing. Last series against the Ducks, what they've been doing all year. I mean, it's just a hard-working bunch of guys out there. Hedrick Zyberg showing he still has some left. Pavel Datsyuk still showing why he is a top 3 player in the league, if not the best player in the league. Hedrick Zyberg, a bad start to last round, but really picked it up the last Game 6 and Game 7. Really starting to come along. And if the Detroit Red Wings play the way they did last round and this round by shutting down star players, if they can shut down Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane, then the Blackhawks have no shot in this series. But I think with the veterans of Kane and Taves going to Stanley Cup, knowing what it takes to win a Stanley Cup, I think will be the difference. Yes, of course, who knows how to win the Stanley Cup better than Detroit Red Wings? But just Zetterberg and Datsyuk just getting a little older. Their defense, still shows holes all the time. And Jimmy Harris played well through the playoffs, but if they expect to win the series, Jimmy Harris will probably have to steal him a few games. And I just don't see it here with home ice going to Chicago. And I like the Chicago Blackhawks. Be a long series. It's going to go 7. But I like the Chicago Blackhawks to get the job done. And our final series, that's the Los Angeles Kings, who will finally, after years, have home ice advantage, taking on the San Jose Sharks, a little California matchup. Should be an interesting one. Let's start with the Los Angeles Kings here. Getting off to a slow series. Last series against St. Louis, but found their game. Jonathan Quick taking his game to another level, as he always seems every playoffs the last couple years. And this Los Angeles Kings team, man, in my opinion, are the best team in the West right now. I mean, if you look at it, they're just getting the job done. I mean, they look like the team from last year, that dominant road team who can get it also done their home ice. And with home ice advantage for the first time in years, I think it's going to be play dividends for the Los Angeles Kings. I mean, I really like Kings this series. But they're taking on a scrappy Sharks team who nobody really gave much a shot last series against the Canucks. But they showed that maybe they have gone that hurdle of being chokers in the playoffs. I mean, going into a series against a Vancouver Canucks, a talented Vancouver Canucks team who a lot of people picked to be a dark horse to win the Stanley Cup this year, and just beating them up from start to finish. Like, that series wasn't even in doubt from game one. I mean, it was pretty clear who the better team in the ice was. You know, I said last series they didn't have enough. They got rid of all their grit during the season, so I didn't have a shot. But they still showed with Rafi Torres and others that they still got a lot of grit on this team. And if Joe Thornton plays the way, no, I've not been Joe Thornton's biggest supporter through the years, but Joe Thornton plays the way that Joe Thornton can play. He's played last series, then the San Jose Sharks have a good shot to win the Stanley Cup. And let's remember, what do the last 3 Stanley Cup winners have in common? They all beat the Vancouver Canucks. And who beat the Vancouver Canucks this year? The San Jose Sharks. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying, but that being said, I just think the experience of Los Angeles winning a Stanley Cup over a team who's still got a bit of a choker mentality to them, I still like the Los Angeles Kings to get it done. And this will be a long series. I think this will go 6. But the Los Angeles Kings get the job done and can go back to the Western Conference Finals. Okay, to recap, I like the Senators, I like the Rangers, I like the Blackhawks, and I like the Kings. Should be an interesting second round. I'm really excited because I think all these series will be great series. I don't see a dull one coming out of them, and should be